chair the meeting. So I'd like to call the Shaker Living School Building Committee meeting of Tuesday, January 9th, 2024 to order. Before we start, Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New
Year.
Excited to be at this stage in the building process, getting closer to eventually seeing some plans. So we're headed in the right direction. The last meeting, I deferred the minutes. I don't feel comfortable doing that again. So I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the minutes of August 16th, 2023, August 23rd, 2023, and September 13th, 2023.
So moved.
Second. And rather than call your names out, could you just say your name, and Steve, you can help record the names for approval. All in favor?
Chuck is yes.
Mike Skaduda, yes.
Oh.
Steve is yes.
Kelly is yes, and I thought I heard Stacy as well.
And
Yep,
Ryan is
yes.
yes too.
Yeah, perfect. Motion carried. So the next order of business is to establish a designer selection subcommittee, appoint a minimum of 3 members to the designer selection subcommittee. And they will be interviewing companies for designer services. If I recall correctly from our last meeting, it was recommended that we have town administrator or designee as one of the members, superintendent one of the members, probably 4, I guess, school principal, and I'm open to suggestions, select board representative, and we have Steve Venuti here as well. So I'm open to any suggestions that you have. I guess, first of all, I should ask for volunteers to be part of the subcommittee.
I will volunteer as a school committee member.
Thank you, Stacy.
Hop on board.
Great. I certainly will hop on board as well.
If needed, having done this a couple times, I'd be happy to do it unless somebody else is chomping at the bit to do it.
Okay. And
as for which responsibility I would fall under, that remains to be seen.
that's fine. That's fine. So Chuck and Steve Venuti and Ryan, what do you guys think?
Seems reasonable. The only other person I would think would be whether Steve Moore as the chair would want to participate in it. But I did text him and haven't heard back from him. So,
yeah. Steve Venuti, do you feel compelled to be?
I'll be fine.
Okay, just thought I would ask you.
I would volunteer, but my opinion of architects is one-sided because I have to deal with them all the time.
Typically, folks they go for the odd number because of voting.
Of course,
members, 5 members. So if we're at 4, if we could get 5, that would make the process a little bit easier.
Yeah, we're at 3 right now.
We're at 4 now.
4? Who's the 4th?
Stacy, Kelly, Chuck, and Steve Venuti.
Yep.
Oh, Steve Venuti. Okay. So Ryan, how about you? Oh, go ahead.
No, if no one volunteers, I'll volunteer. I guess we need to fit.
We could put Brian in there since he's not on the call.
I can do it as well if we need a 5th.
Okay. Should draw straws on Zoom call? Who would like to do it? Ryan, do you have the time to do it?
Well, that's a loaded question. I'll volunteer nonetheless.
Okay.
It's very minimal time. It's very minimal time, folks. We only meet every other night for 3 hours. It's very minimal time. We'll direct the meetings. We'll talk to the people that we need to talk to and go through the whole process. So the commitment is very minor.
Okay, great.
Time-wise.
So thank you for that. I guess now I need a motion to vote the 5 members in: Steve, Kelly, Chuck, Steve Venuti, and Ryan.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Just say your name again.
Steve is an aye.
Mike
Ryan's an aye.
Studio, yes. Sorry.
Stacy-
Kelly's aye as well.
Chuck, aye.
Michelle, I.
Thank you. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda, review and vote to approve and release the request for designer services for the Shaker Lane Elementary School. I'll turn it over to the architects at this point in time. And I would imagine you're going to run through the document with us. Is that correct?
Very quickly, may I share the screen, please? Whoever's.
Yeah, you should have rights.
Just while that's loading,
Hold on. Yeah, okay, now try it.
There we go.
Michelle wasn't voted in as one of the members of that subcommittee, correct?
That's right.
As the principal?
No, Michelle was not on that subcommittee.
No. I have Ryan, Stacy, Kelly, Chuck, and Steve.
Yeah, that's what I have.
So,
Good with that?
Michelle, are you fine with sitting this one out?
Michelle Kane is perfectly okay with that. Thank you.
All
For
right.
thinking of me though, Chuck, I appreciate it.
I wasn't trying to set you up.
And Brian Pasquale has joined us as well, folks.
Yeah, sorry for being late, everyone. I was my
It's all right.
schedule was thrown off by the snow a little bit.
Mhm.
Thank you for joining us also. I believe Steve sent out, we had sent them 2 copies, the sort of tracked changes copy, which you're seeing on the screen right now, and then we'll have a cleaned up version that, or hiding the changes when we send it over to the MSBA, but it'll reflect exactly what the changes are. It's a standard form that they put out for every project. You just need to fill in the information out. A lot of it comes from the information you sent out for the OPMs. And then there's additional information that we send out or we add to this. Get it to the MSBA. They have a couple weeks to review it. If they have any questions, we'll go back and forth. Hopefully they'll turn around quicker than not, but we've already established the schedule based on the 2 dates or times of dates that Robin sent us from the MSBA. And we're looking at March 26th as having the actual meeting with the designer selection panel once we go through the whole process of getting the RFS to the central register, getting the proposals from the architects, reviewing the proposals, shortlisting them, interviewing them at the 26th. So most of this information is filled in. I'll obviously clean all this up, but there were a couple of questions that Steve and Ryan and I had gone through a week or so ago, just to clarify anything else that's out there. So I'm just going to quickly go through this to see the things that are crossed out, any information that was added. We know the estimate for the project that was based on the OPM RFS information. These gray boxes that you see, the standard questions that the MSBA puts in there that you need to add information to, which we've already done with the MBE and the WB participation goal percentages. Background information comes directly from the RFS that was out as part of the OPM work, which basically describes the scope of the project. Again, a lot of these items are just things that we follow and need to add as part of it and won't show up in the final one. What the goals in the project are when you were originally submitted your statement of interest, standard information. We've got most of this information taken care of. There was a couple of items that we needed clarity on. We got the clarity on the insurance, so we'll take care of getting this taken out. The $2 million was fine for the town. So we'll clean this up in the final version. Owners, studies, drawings, photographs. Is there any existing materials that architects come on board will eventually have access to?
We do have current building plans. I have those on a Google Drive that we can make available. We
Perfect.
also have, if people are interested, we have the facility study from 10 years ago that was done. That could be a good starting point as well.
Perfect. This information is a yes, so you have information that you can share with the designer that's eventually hired, and that will help them a lot going through. Services have already been identified, which is the lengthy part of that you'll see a little bit later. We clarified all the dates. Thank you, Steve, for the feasibility agreement expiration date. All that information has been added. Again, this will be all cleaned up, taken care of. These are the services that will be part of the standard services that'll be provided by the design team when the project gets going, standard for schools. Again, all the information that the designer is supposed to provide is standard language that the MSBA has put together over many years. One thing I do need to add here, we added the date for when the proposals are due. How many original hard copies would you like of the proposals? If we have 5 people on the subcommittee, the assumption is that those 5 will be reviewing them. We can also ask for, you know, a USB flash drive that people can use as well. So do you want 5 hard copies? Do you want 1 hard copy and 1 flash drive that people can share? What's your preference?
Actually, 5 hard copies would be great, and if you could throw in the flash drive, that would be also good.
Is that acceptable to all?
Makes sense.
Yeah, hard copies.
Great. So I'll update this to 5 hard copies and 1 USB drive per proposal. So you'll have all of those to review. Excellent. We clarified where the proposals will be sent. That information came through previously. Any questions that are going to come through are also going to come to Lisa. And it will be broken out clearly in the central register ad when it goes in. The last day you can ask questions, because we are having a briefing session, which I believe is on a early release day, which is Wednesday, February 7th. Stephen informed me of that recently. So we'll have that. Questions and things will be asked of people when they go on the walkthrough. Will need to be recorded. So somebody that usually takes minutes and stuff for the town, if they can be present for that, just in case there's any questions asked there. And then there'll be a date set up in the central register out of when the final questions can come in. Usually it's 2 days or 3 days. I believe it's a Wednesday that the proposals come in. So probably that Monday is the last day questions can be asked. But we'll clarify all of that. And I believe that's it. So everything else is just links and attachments to everything that the architect needs to provide as part of their designer services. So any questions from anybody about the content of the request for services for the designers?
Mark, just a couple of questions. So the budget that you had listed, or at least the budget estimate, so the 9 million to 75 million, is that from what we put out, or?
Correct. Yep, that's verbatim from the information that was put out for the OPM information. If that needs to change, we can certainly change it.
Really don't have much of a basis really as to what that would be.
9 million's a minor innovation. 75 is new.
That's typically the range you see in most of the proposals that come in. Exactly. They have the 3 requirements of the MSBA are renovation, addition, new, and that kind of covers it. Everything 9 million to 75 million kind of would cover that range.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's so broad. It's kind of gives a sense of the kind of things we're looking at. Okay. And then in terms of the schedule, can I just ask the question on that?
Sure.
So keep going down. Okay. So MSBA is saying October 28th, 2025 is when they would give their budget approval, but then we are supposed to be providing our local funding authorization by the end of the calendar year in 2025. So I'm just, and then for Chuck and Kelly in particular, I'm just trying to think in terms of how this timing would be. My guess is this would have to be a special town meeting. Should we be looking, is it typically, Mark, we do a special town meeting in the at the beginning of November. This year's November, actually the last 2 years has been November 1st.
Usually end of October. Actually.
What's that?
We typically do it end of October. We just have slid into November.
Yeah,
the last couple
right. Okay, so in that time frame. So the question, Mark, is should we try? I mean, I love the idea of not having to have another special town meeting if we don't have to. I'm not sure how locked in these dates are.
10/28 is a Monday night, by the way.
any MSBA Board of Directors meetings are locked in. So those dates are set in stone. We actually work backwards from any of the dates that they have set up and try to work out the calendar for the rest of them. So, I mean, we can look into, and they're every other month. So the next Board of Directors meeting would be sometime in December. If they're saying the end of November or the end of October is this one, we'd have to look and see what the next date would be. And then that would just give you guys time to do what you need to do at the special town meeting and then get on the schedule for the December 24th Board of Directors meeting.
Yeah, and then, again, it's, you know, so basically two regular town meetings, specials typically, as Chuck said, end of October, early November, and then May. So
yeah, no, we can do that. We can do that. We can, I'll talk to Robin and try to get us on the directors meeting for December instead of October. Yeah, I don't think that'll be an issue.
Yeah, so if we get on December, but then if it's still that same 2-month lag, that still means I need to have a special town meeting. My objective, Mark, is to avoid
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
having another meeting. So, you know, so in terms of how the timing works here, you know, ideally we can do it in, you know, we have a number prospectively in hand at that time. Then again, for a November or a May time frame is really what would be ideal. I mean, we can do a special town meeting. It's not the end of the world. It's
Right.
just, and for this is the kind of thing you have a special town meeting for. It's just ideally, if it doesn't mean more work for everybody involved in another meeting they have to come to.
So the only issue I could see with that, if we wanted to get the estimate for the preferred schematic design report prior to your town meeting in November 1st, we'd be looking at the September or the August town meeting because they meet every other directors meeting.
Right.
They meet every other month. That's going to really squeeze the designers losing 2 months of time getting that information in, because basically the preferred schematic report is coming up with the estimate, the preferred option, all that information is tied up in a bow. So less time they have could be, you know, detrimental. We don't want to squeeze them for time.
That's understandable. And this is really more for Stacy and Chuck in terms of, you know, what we've done in the past, what you think's appropriate. I just wanted to throw that out about the schedule.
So Ryan, let me ask a question. Is there a tentative fall town meeting date yet set
No.
yet?
Not yet, no, for this year.
Chuck, what are your thoughts?
I would rather go sooner than later, because if we are shooting towards May, then everything's delayed and you know, costs go up as time goes by. So that's if there is a way to do it in that September, or rather I guess it would be August if it's every other month. If there's a way to do it that way, and you know, I realize people are going to be up against it, but I don't know. I think the cost is going to be increased. You know, if we go out 6 months or 8 months from October, that's my thoughts. But to Ryan's point, we can have a special. That's, you know, that would be the only item on the agenda in all likelihood, where we can do something if the schedule stayed at October 28th, then they met again in December. We can do something, you know, right after the first of the year or something like that.
Mark, what's your experience with a vote that's necessary, but via town meeting?
At that point, when we get to schematic design and the preferred report, it's just a stamp. I mean, it's just meeting their requirements for their board of directors meetings. Once you get through the designer panel, once you get through, you know, the feasibility and the schematic, it's just the approval process to get you into the next phase. So I don't want to say it's a pass through, but it is usually pretty much a rubber stamp, like you're ready to go. So if you have a special town meeting scheduled, you said November 1st?
Typically, or the end of October, yeah.
Yeah, so the end of October, the 31st is a Thursday, the 30th is a Wednesday. So the board of directors meeting's on a Wednesday, they would approve it. The special town meeting would have to include on an agenda item the approval of the estimated budget for the project. So we need to have that number pretty much set up and approved beforehand. So that's cutting it really close.
Mhm.
I would anticipate that our special town meeting in 2025 in the fall is that Monday, October 28th, but we could, we have put flexibility into our policies to be able to have that on either the 29th or the 30th. We can have it on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. It's actually worked out pretty well over the last couple of meetings.
Okay.
So if they were to vote on the 28th, we had our special on the 29th or the 30th. If it is in fact it was a simple
It's an
vote
approval.
to
Yeah, so
authorize-
once you get to that point, it's an approval process, but I only say if there's any issues prior to that board of directors meeting with the design, any changes in schedule, then you'll get bumped from that meeting because, you know, it won't be ready. Right. So, I mean, that's something we can't anticipate right now.
And then what we'd do is we would just pull the warrant, pull the article from the warrant, and then we'd have to
Okay.
go down the special town meeting avenue.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. And then presumably too, this would be a debt exclusion. So it'd be a vote to.
Right. So ideally by 10/28/25, the scope and budget, it's a year after they approve schematic design. We're well into design development, et cetera. You're well into the project. That number is going to be known, so you could carry that for your special town meeting come the 30th or 31st, whenever it is, unless something changes and you'd have to pull. So
Yeah, that should work. That
yeah,
should
I
work.
think it works. Yeah.
Yeah, that should work. Okay. That's
Are
all
you
I
good
have.
with it?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Any other
Appreciate it
questions?
bringing that up. Sorry, Kelly.
Are there any other questions?
Mark, just so you know, that feasibility expiration date was verified by MSBA too, so.
Terrific. Thank you so much.
And thank you for the presentation, Mark. If we don't have any other questions, certainly ready to entertain a motion to approve and release the request for designer services for the Shaker Lane Elementary School.
So moved.
Second. Thank you. And I'm going to try a roll call vote this time. I think it's smoother. Stacy?
Stacy Damaris, yes.
Chuck?
Chuck DeCoste, yes.
Steve Venuti?
Steve Venuti, yes.
Ryan?
Ryan Ferrari, yes.
Michelle?
Michelle Kane, yes.
Brian?
Brian Pasquale, yes.
Am I missing one person or no?
Mike Scuduto.
Mike
Mike?
Scuduto, yes.
And Kelly and myself, I vote yes. Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other items that anyone would like to discuss tonight? Hearing none, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
You want to schedule your next meeting or?
Next meeting. Ryan, do you want to do that later or?
I think we can do that later. So at this point, yeah, we want to maintain the flexibility and we can keep talking about that.
So now that we have a designer selection subcommittee going forward, when I send the information over tomorrow, I will copy the members of the subcommittee in the emails that deal with the selection process going forward. So if anybody else would like to be part of that, just let me know. I can copy you as well, but typically we'll just keep the subcommittee involved so we don't bother you all with all the information, which won't be a lot, but we will be having some correspondence back and forth, setting up the time, setting up the questions, et cetera, et cetera.
So one, Mark, if I can ask a question, based on the schedule that you have for the designer subcommittee meeting, selection team, does the full committee need to take a vote on the three final decisions?
Yes.
So based on that schedule, you may want to think about looking at a scheduling meeting.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's the subcommittee does the work and they bring their recommendation to the full committee.
Advisory, yeah.
Once we go through the accepting of the proposals, we review it, references all that information, and we'll work with the subcommittee doing all that. We don't rate them. There's a recommendation that is given
Mhm.
for the top 3, top 4, depending on how many we receive, how many you like. Then that recommendation is brought to the committee for them to bring to the designer selection panel of the MSBA to set up interviews.
So Ryan, my question is, do we want to just wait and schedule that meeting when we have a better idea when?
I think so, Steve.
Okay.
Okay.
Could I just ask that we get it, like a week or 2 lead time on that? So we can
Michelle, we
adjust.
keep running
schedules.
into those issues. I understand the questions about the calendar, but we're doing the best we can. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, it all depends on people's availability and things of that nature. So,
We do have based on the schedule that was provided previously, we do have a decent understanding of when that might be. Based on the dates that the MSBA milestones that we have to meet. So certainly a week or more in advance, we'll discuss when the next meeting for your committee needs to be.
Thanks, Mark.
Perfect. Anything else? Okay,
You've got a motion on the floor.
sorry, what's that?
I think you've got a motion for adjournment on the floor.
I do. So we'll do a roll call vote. Stacy?
Stacy Scott, yes.
Chuck?
Chuck DeCose, yes.
Stephen Udi?
Stephen Udi, yes.
Ryan?
Ryan Farr, yes.
Michelle?
Michelle Kane, yes.
Ryan?
Brian Pasquale, yes.
And Mike?
Mike Scuduto, yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you, everybody. And